Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm giving you guys a simple and effective routine with progressing options to help develop and strengthen your ability to hold an L-sit. For those interested in learning the benefits of an L-sit, including the muscles involved and form acquired, I have an L-sit video in my how-to playlist on my page that you can check out. Let's briefly go over the components of an L-sit so that you'll understand what we're going to work on. The L-sit has four main components that we want to work on, including straight arm strength, where our shoulder blades are depressed with our arms straight and elbows locked out, our core in a flexed position, our hip flexor strength, and our hamstring flexibility. In this routine, we're going to train each of these components to help you develop a solid L-sit hold. This routine will be broken down into 3 progressions. Progression number 1 will be easier to perform and is suited well for beginners or those just starting their L-sit training. Progressions 2 and 3 will up the intensity, and you can choose over time as you get stronger when you're ready to move on from one progression to the next. I'd recommend performing this 1 to 2 times a week. There's no need to overdo it. Alright, let's start with progression number 1. For progression 1, we have 2 different supersets that we'll be using. By the way, for those of you who don't know, a superset is where you perform back-to-back exercises with little to no rest in between each one. So let's say you have a superset we'll call Group A with 2 exercises. You'll perform exercise A1 and with little to no rest, move straight on to A2. After performing A1 and A2, you rest for a longer period of time and then repeat the superset for X amount of sets. So starting with Group A, we have support hold shrugs followed by hollow body holds. For the support hold shrugs, I want you to perform anywhere from 5 to 8 repetitions, and on the last rep, hold at the top position between 10 to 15 seconds. Performing shoulder shrugs provides us an opportunity to not only strengthen, but understand where we need to place ourselves, which is in a depressed shoulder position. So we're going from shoulder elevation into strong shoulder depression while improving our straight arm strength. On that last rep, really push those shoulders away from the ears and hold for 10 to 15 seconds. If your straight arm strength is improving, you can shoot towards 30 seconds if you choose to do so. Once completed, we'll move on to the hollow body holds. Now for exercise A2, you have 2 options. You can either perform a hollow body hold or hanging knee raises. The hollow hold is great for strengthening and stabilizing your core, which has a carryover into our L-sit position and is easy to manipulate the intensity. You can also opt for hanging knee raises. Although this does include a hip flexor component as well, with hanging knee raises, the goal is to control each repetition and maintain a posterior pelvic tilt. You really want to avoid swinging and cheating yourself of actually working your core. Remember, we want to challenge our core here, so don't cheat yourself, keep that posterior pelvic tilt, and control your repetitions. So after going from A1 to A2, rest anywhere from 45 seconds to 1 minute and repeat for 3 to 4 sets. For Group B, we have seated or standing leg raises followed by seated forward folds. Hip flexor strength is a key component of the L-sit, as we need to improve our ability to compress in order to hold a strong L-sit. These are some beginner variations. You can perform them standing if needed, or seated. I prefer the seated variation. The goal here is to keep the working leg as straight as you can, contract those quads, and lift with a small pause at the top while avoiding leaning back. If you're leaning back, you're not allowing yourself to really train those hip flexors and cheating yourself. Compression strength comes at a price, and that will be quad cramping, so be prepared. Start with single leg variations and really focus on using your quads to lift that leg up. We want controlled repetitions with a small pause at the top. For B2, we have seated forward folds. For this progression, I want you to use a band or some form of rope if possible. Here, we are working on our hamstring flexibility. During the forward fold, if you're really tight, you may find yourself rounding your back excessively and not focusing on stretching those hamstrings. So instead of forcing yourself to reach your toes, use a band or rope, place it around your feet, and slightly pull on the band or rope while thinking about bringing your belly button to the floor and breathe. Keep those ankles flexed if possible. With the band, you can assist yourself into a 90-degree position and you should still feel that stretch. Now, there's nothing wrong with having to round your back, especially if you're really tight, but this should help you focus more on achieving that hamstring stretch with less strain. Shoot for 30-second holds or 15 seconds pulling on the band with ankles flexed, and then 15 seconds off, pointing your toes and slightly rounding your back if you have to as you reach forward. Don't force yourself into a painful position. Really ease into it and let time do the work. If it's too difficult seated on the floor, simply elevate your hips to make the forward fold easier. Remember, allow yourself to improve over time. After going from B1 to B2, rest anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and repeat for 3 to 4 sets. You can use progression number 1 for as long as you'd like, and whenever you're ready, move on to progression number 2. For progression number 2, all we are doing is keeping similar exercises, but increasing the intensity. For exercise A, we have support hold knee raises. Here we have a combination of the 2 exercises from group A in the first progression. We're working that straight arm, shoulder depression, and core while moving into and out of a tucked L-sit. The goal here is to avoid arching your lower back by swinging the legs up too fast. Keep that posterior pelvic tilt and control your legs on the way up. A small or 1 second pause at the top is key here, considering that this is where we want to get stronger. Over time, you could even increase that pause duration at the top, moving from 1 second to 2 seconds and so on. Here, shoot for 5 to 15 repetitions and 3 to 4 sets, resting anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes between each set. Next, we have a superset, group B. We have floor leg raises and a weighted Jefferson curl. For the leg raises, in this progression, we'll be sitting on the floor rather than using a seated position. Again, the goal here is to avoid rocking back. Daniel Vadnal provides a great method to avoid this by simply posting up against a wall or a pole, keeping each repetition strict without cheating yourself. The closer your hands are to your hips, the easier the leg raises become. You can perform a single leg or both at the same time. If this is your first time performing pike leg raises on the floor, start with your hands closer to your hips. Shoot for 5 to 8 repetitions per leg. For our hamstring flexibility, in this progression, we are now going to incorporate weighted Jefferson curls. Weighted Jefferson curls are awesome because we can work on improving hamstring flexibility and strength while using a full range of motion. The goal here is to move at a slow and controlled pace, flexing the spine in segments, from your neck to your thoracic spine to your lumbar, and keeping your legs straight. Squeezing the quads will help in this regard. I won't go into depth on the Jefferson curl now, but I'll leave a link in the description below for an awesome video tutorial on the Jefferson curl made by Tom Merrick. Here you want to shoot for 5 to 8 repetitions. Also, there's no need to use an excessive amount of weight here. In this example, I'm using a 10-pound or 4.5 kilo dumbbell. You can go lighter than that, or you could use no weight at all, especially if this is your first time performing Jefferson curls and your hamstrings are really tight and you want to ease into it. So start with some light weight, allow yourself to gradually progress over time, and then when we move on to progression number 3, you can increase the intensity by increasing the weight. After going from B1 to B2, rest anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute and repeat the superset for 3 sets. You can use progression 2 for as long as you'd like. When you feel you've really improved, you can finally move on to progression number 3. In progression 3, for exercise A, we have support hold knee or leg raises, plus a 5 to 10 second pause on the last rep. Here we are really testing our top hold now. This is great for those looking to solidify their newfound strength with the L-sit. For this, just control each repetition and no need to pause at the top until your last rep on each set, where you'll hold anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. If you're using leg raises for the first time, you can hold off on that 5 to 10 second hold on the last rep and just stick to controlled repetitions. Also, if you're using any variation where your legs will be straight, such as leg raises, you might benefit from performing seated forward folds for a few sets prior to using exercise A. What you can also incorporate here is performing knee raises, and on your last rep, hold a progression of the L-sit that you are currently working on. For example, going from knee raises to finishing the last rep with single leg alternation holds, advanced tuck holds, low L-sit holds, or a full L-sit hold. Perform 3 to 4 sets and rest anywhere from 1 minute and 30 to 2 minutes between each set. Now for group B exercises, we're starting with weighted Jefferson curls and leg raises on the floor. The reason we're starting this superset with weighted Jefferson curls instead of leg raises is because those 5 to 10 second last rep pauses in the previous exercise might cause your hip flexors to be more fatigued. So starting with Jefferson curls can give them some extra time to rest before performing leg raises. Here we want to up the intensity by slightly increasing the weight used or incorporating a slant to perform them with your ankles in a dorsiflex position, emphasizing the stretch on your calves and hamstrings. This is something I picked up from Ben Patrick. I'll leave a link for his channel below. Here, shoot for 5 to 6 solid repetitions. For the pike leg raises, to increase the intensity, move your hands closer to your feet. Or if you're gaining solid compression strength, add some ankle weights. Here, since we're increasing the intensity, therefore making it harder to perform the pike leg raises, shoot for 5 to 6 repetitions per leg. After going from B1 to B2, rest anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute and perform 3 to 4 sets. Alright guys, that is my routine to help develop and master your L-sits. Before I end this video, I want you guys to know that this is not going to be the perfect routine. Everybody's different and everyone will handle workouts differently. So don't be afraid to experiment and manipulate this routine in a manner that will benefit you. Also, I recommend starting with the minimum recommendations in terms of the reps and sets that I provided you guys in this routine. See how you feel with the minimum recommendations and then from there progress at your pace. Stay consistent with your training, however you do it, and you will achieve that L-sit. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and click that subscribe button down below for more content in the future. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment down below and I'll look forward to answering them. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck mastering your L-sits, and as always, enjoy the process.